So this is a little quick video about the role of writing for the sales funnel. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with a sales funnel, it's basically a series of emails or activities that help move someone who is just coming into contact with you for the first time through a series of information that you send out to them to the point where they actually buy from you. And this is more typically done with online marketing and online programs, but it can also be done for one-on-one, live, offline businesses. The process is a little different, but it's always the same task. So the key here is that you have to have the right funnel for the right market. So in other words, if the information that you're sending out isn't right for the people who've signed up for your email list, you're less likely to get them to become clients later on down in the latter parts of the funnel because they're just not, it's the message isn't right for them. And there's a lot of information out there about how to do sales funnels, but I've listened to a lot of these people, and there doesn't seem to be an absolute blueprint as to how to do this. So one of the things I'm hoping that you're getting from this program is that you have to find a voice that works for you, and what works for other people may not work for you. So please keep that in mind, that you're going to go through some trial and error to figure out what works best for the group that wants to work with you. And feel free to break the rules, if you wanted to call it that, because it's working for you. Don't be afraid to just follow what everybody says. So writing a funnel is the key to getting clients to like and trust you, because this is how they get to know you. So what does a funnel basically entail? So the first thing is you have to get their attention. That's at the top of the funnel, the widest part. So this is where you need to have a wide demographic to sort of get your message out. This is what Facebook ads would be for, or going and doing presentations, or perhaps circulate and promoting your blog posts. You're trying to get attention. You're trying to let them know that you exist. This would even include, getting to know them, running into somebody at the health food store and getting into a conversation. Anything that makes them aware that you exist is the top part of the funnel. Now, what you want to do is get them to give you their email address, because that allows you to build a relationship with them and get to know them. So depending on what you are doing, so if you're speaking to someone live, or doing a presentation, you can offer them what is known as a lead magnet, which is something for free if they give you their email address. This is commonly done at a presentation. It could be just a report or a cheat sheet or some recipes or something like that that might be of interest to people. And of course, if you're doing it through Facebook ads or your website, they're clicking and just putting it in and it's downloading for them. So one way or another, you're giving them something for free, and this is why they'll give you their email address. And in doing so, you've now, assuming that what you give them is of good value, you've started the relationship. And then what you do as you continue down the funnel is you build your authority. So you're letting them get to know you, you're sending out good content. This could be your blog posts, this could be recipes, this could be just forwarding them a link of something that you came across on the internet that's really interesting. They're basically seeing you now as someone they can get information that is useful to them. This is where your copywriting skills come in, and this is where your client avatar comes in, because you need to be targeting a direct group of people with information that is useful to them. And so every time that you are creating any kind of writing or any kind of speaking, you are directing people to understand that you work with a certain demographic, and how you help them, and how you're looking, how you look at how their issues are. All of this information has to come out as you're building your authority. This could be done over a series of emails. How many is up to you. But eventually you're going to make an offer for your services and that, or your product, whatever it is. If you have an online program, if you want them to come and see you one-on-one and you have a package, this is your offer. And at this point, hopefully this is when they opt in, because now they understand that they can have this offer. And again, you're going to follow the same rules of copywriting where, you make it an irresistible offer. And so it'll have probably a discounted price, a timeline so that they have to sign up by a certain date. And there might be some bonuses thrown in as a result of your offer. Now, how many emails this takes is up to you. In a typical online promotion, it's between 5 and 9 total. And that would include, last minute emails for when the special price is about to disappear. There's usually 2 sent the day that it's going to cease to exist. So that's up to you. You could, if you're not ready to do anything and you're just building your email list, you just keep sending them content until you have something to offer. Okay. So many suggest that you offer a low price item to get them to buy. This is a standard procedure for sales funnels. It does have a problem with that. The goal is to work them up to a higher price, and the cheaper the price, the better you have to be at marketing. So since most of you are probably not that good at marketing, this may not be the way for you to go. And with what you do, offering services and programs, it may not be what you have to do. So somebody who buys an ebook from you for $27 is not necessarily the same person who would come and see you one-on-one. So somebody who buys an ebook is looking for quick fixes and easy to consume information. And there's nothing wrong with that. But somebody who comes to see you one-on-one or signs up for a program that you have is looking for something a little bit more in depth. So they are more willing to pay more because they're looking for more. And if that's who you're trying to attract, you don't necessarily have to have the low price item. So you're selling your services and programs, and when you are doing your funnel, so all the emails you're sending out, it should allow them to see the value of this. You can send out a recipe, but you need to tie it into what you do. And we talked about that with regards to copywriting, how you always are reminding them of what you do so that they get the idea of how it's going to be for them, what they're going to experience. Okay, so the start of the funnel, of course, is when they hear of you through an ad or a referral. And ads must be to a point. There has to be something that means something to the person who's looking at it. If you can get them to read a blog post or watch videos, and again, videos would be very short, they're more engaged. So people have short times, attention spans. You need to make sure that what you're giving them is quick and digestible, but very useful. It should be some solution to a problem. They're going to opt in to whatever you're offering for free, which of course is known as the lead magnet. And when they do this, they're basically saying to you, I'm happy to give away some of my privacy for this brand. So at this point, you actually have made a connection. And up until that time, you haven't made a connection. And depending on what you choose to do to get people onto your email list, so if you're doing Facebook ads and you're not getting opt-ins, then what you're offering isn't reaching the right demographic. And that's a little more complicated because that could be because it's not a good offer, or it could be because whatever demographic you've chosen to sort of have Facebook screen for you isn't the right one for your audience. That's a whole other conversation. But let's just say, you are at a talk and you've gone into a corporate seminar. Well, in that corporate seminar, there's going to be a variety of people. You may be talking about diabetes, but they're not all diabetics. Some may be related to diabetics, some just want to hear good health information, and some may be actual diabetics. And so when you're speaking to them and you make your free offer, it's like, here's all these sugar-free recipes. I've got a great book. You're going to love them. They taste sweet, they have great texture and you're not going to be giving up anything, whoever signs up for that is going to want to be someone who A, either has to cook for a diabetic or is a diabetic, and B, wants to take a chance that these actually do taste good. And that's who's going to give you their email address within this group of people that you're speaking to in a corporate setting. So you always have to make sure you know who you're speaking to, and if you just want emails, addresses, you have to make sure you're targeting the right group of people. And sometimes when we're doing an ad or we're doing something, a presentation of some kind, we don't have enough people in the audience that are our ideal client. Now, you can also get referrals. And again, the thing about referrals is a lot of times when people do referrals, they're not referring your ideal client. They're referring their friends who may or may not be into what you're doing. And I have had this happen to me many times where the person coming to me actually doesn't have the same condition as their friend, but they think because I help their friend, I can help them. So again, there's no reason for you to not take that client, but it's a different type of advertising that you are doing. You need to maybe advertise less a specific demographic and more the service and the quality of the service and the caring and the hand holding and things that would be of more value. If you're getting a lot of people from referral and you want that to build, then you really want to build up the idea that you're someone that they can come to and you'll listen to them, and as opposed to being specifically focused on menopausal women who are constipated. Okay. So the lead magnet is something, as I mentioned before, that has to be really quick. So pick a solution. So something that you might typically recommend under a given circumstance. Let's say it's constipation, because that's an easy one. Maybe it's, 5 great tips to, help with constipation. And you put it into a report or a cheat sheet, or maybe some questions they can ask themselves to find out why they're constipated or something like that. And that's what you have as your lead magnet. People tend to opt into these more because they are quick. Webinars, not so much. And you want to make it whatever you're picking as this solution. And you can identify the problem, obviously, in your report, is that it's something that's going to be done in your service or program, so you're advertising what you do at the same time. If you take people to the store on a regular basis, you could do a report on what are the, what happens when you take them to the store. Like, what are the best things that you've introduced clients to that they really like, or the most convenient things, or, and you put a title appropriate to that so that people see that they're getting these easy health tips based on your client's experience as from going to the health food store. These are the kind of things that people will click into really quickly because they're looking for answers and they're looking for information, but they don't have a lot of time. And as I mentioned, the quicker, the better. So webinars are for later, when they know you better, because it's more of a commitment to sit there and listen to someone for an hour, and especially if they've had to book, a special time for it, even if it's recorded. A lot of times people don't go back to the recording unless they know there's value for them. And so webinars I would do later. I wouldn't actually do like an ad or anything for a webinar at this time. Okay, so as they get to know this relationship is going to change. And this is when it becomes a difficult time to write, because writing to the person who doesn't know you is different from writing to the person who knows you, because the person who knows you already has an expectation of the value of what you have to say. So it's not as difficult. But the person who doesn't know you has no expectations. So until they've actually bought something from you, you have to see all of these people, whether they're just getting to know you, whether they've opted in for your lead magnet. You have to understand they're not convinced of your value yet. So this is what you're building up. So the more good quality content you give them, the better. And again, you're not giving away your program. You are giving them information that would be helpful to them, and in the process letting them know elements of things that you often work with people who have these issues and how you help them. That can be part of what you write, because it's the truth and it has value, and it gets them to see that you help other people and that you're always reminding them of this, and this is valuable too. People relate to that. So don't be afraid to experiment. Try different aspects of value. See which ones get the most response. You have people sending you comments. What I get, I post a blog and I don't get any comments hardly ever in the actual blog on my website. What I get, because I always send my blog post out in a separate email. So I email my blog post to people on my email list. And what I get is people, they just hit reply and comment to me via email, which is not necessarily the best thing to do, because it's better if they're commenting on your blog, because they're showing engagement to new people. But it doesn't mean I can't gauge the value of what I sent out. And so I know certain types of topics get responses better than other types of topics. Doesn't mean I don't write about the other types of type of topics, because if I want to write about it, I'm going to write about it. But at least I have a sense of what my audience likes. And don't forget that information is value. You don't always have to be giving away a gift. But if you often threw in a free gift every now and again, even when they're already on your email list, it can be just a simple book of recipes. It doesn't have to be 10 recipes. It doesn't have to be anything significant. It can be tied to a theme like Thanksgiving or something like that. Or it's holiday, when you're on the holidays, how do you eat? Anything like that is value, and you can give those away as you see fit. But don't forget, you don't have to go to that much trouble, because when you do those gifts, they do have to look nice. But you can just, give them a recipe that you've typed into your blog, or you can just point them to someone else's website that has some good information that you think is valuable to them. Okay. So once they convert and they've bought something, then your relationship is established. And your writing is now going to change. So it can be more informal. They know you. And now you're going to change your writing to, reflect this. So because they bought something from you, especially if it's a program, you can always refer in your writing to things in the program to make sure they get more value from the program, and therefore you're again nurturing this relationship. And the truth about all programs, I don't care if they're online or offline, is that they change, and you add things to them, and you massage them, and they get more valuable as you use them more and have more people take them, because it just changes organically. And so putting that into writing and things like that is very, very helpful. They know you, they want to know what's going on. If something's changed in the program, especially if it's something like a 3-month program that it's offline and you do certain things within the 3 months, if you change some elements of that, they've done the 3-month program once, but it's the kind of program they could do it more than once, because they still have things they need to resolve. And knowing new things that are in the program would be of value to them. So you're nurturing this relationship. You don't want to, it's not always about the program, but it's just you're looking for elements that you can tell them that is good for them, knowing they know stuff because they're in the program. And the same is true if it's just an ebook that they bought from you. You know what's in the ebook, so make some reference to what's in the ebook and say, hey, I just found this out. This goes even better. This is good information that goes with the ebook. That's how you nurture the relationship. You must not be afraid to be yourself at this point. Obviously, when we're first getting to know people, we are a little more formal, and we do tend to behave ourselves. You have a working relationship with these people, and you need to make sure that you are building it. And so they need to know who you really are, because if that's who they like, that's what they want to see. And some of this is around language, because sometimes our language can get a little salty even when we write. I don't personally swear in emails, but I know people who do. And you have to make sure the audience isn't offended by that. And so if you have a working relationship with people, you know they can take a salty word here and there. Your best potential clients are people who've already purchased from you. So just because they've bought from you once doesn't mean they're never going to buy from you again. And so this is why you really want to nurture this relationship. Okay, and then once they're in this state where they have bought from you and they've become successful with whatever you have, recommended, and when we say successful, we don't mean they solved all their problems. They just feel better. They're happy with what they learned. They're happy with what you did for them. Get them to give you a testimonial or a case study, because this is good information to put into your writing. A case study makes a great blog post. It makes a great, handout or lead magnet if it's for a specific demographic. And basically you're allowing these people to be your advocate, right? Because now they have something that they can say that talks about you, because up until this time you've been talking about you. Now you can get somebody else to talk about you. They can also obviously promote you by telling their friends about you, what you do, how you do it. They could even become affiliates if you were doing online stuff. I don't know if you want to get into that with clients. I wouldn't, but you never know. They could be a fellow professional, which in that case it would be a little more appropriate. And you need writing copy for both, right? So the more that they're telling people, the more you're going to need to help them with information. So a lot of times I've been asked for, can you just give me like your brochure? Can you just give me a handout? Can you just do this? I just want to show it to my friend, and it's about what my services are. So you need to understand where you're at with which stage so that you can write the appropriate copy. At the top, you're softer, more formal, and then once they convert, you can be more informal while still being respectful. Okay, so you're probably, if you are not familiar with email services and the value of them, then your head's spinning right now saying, well, how do I organize all this? It's really simple. I'm using ActiveCampaign for my funnels. I still use Constant Contact for my emails. Don't get me started why I still do that. But an email service like ActiveCampaign, and it is one of the least expensive, it allows you to segregate people. So you can segregate them into those who've opted in but not purchased, and you can have another list that is those who have purchased. And this allows you to write to different emails that fit where they're at, and this is why it becomes easier. It's a bit more work because you're doing it twice, right? So you have to do more writing, but it's good for you. And so when you're doing to people who have not bought, you're writing courting emails. So when you court someone, you are polite, you are thinking all about them, their needs, and you're guessing, right? You're guessing when you're courting. So you go over the top with how much you try to impress them. You bring them flowers, you send them chocolates, okay? Courting is when you're on your best behavior. Once you're married, you know what, if you're in a good marriage, you know what your spouse likes. You know what it is that means something to them, and this is an easier person to write to because you know them. So that's how you have to sort of change the conversation. And if you have your list segregated, then you can do this. And when you're doing the courting emails, you want to speak more to emotions. And obviously with marriage, you're speaking more to what you know they like. So you're going to be spending more time writing emails for the purpose of growing your email list and obtaining more clients. This is a very important, this is why I wanted to host this workshop, because I think writing is important. And if you can do it well to a goal, you're going to see a return. It is work, and you are going to be writing a lot, but that's okay, because the more you write, the better you're going to get at it. So you're going to be practicing, no doubt about it. You're going to be doing the same even if you're working for offline. You need to practice what it is you're saying and what you're offering, and building an email list for offline is very similar to building it for online. It's a skill worth developing. The only thing I would say is that for offline, one of the things you can do that you can't do for online, and it's really cool, is talk about things in your locale. So you could talk about, like, say you discovered somebody had opened up a salt room, it's filled with Himalayan salt, and you went in and tried it and it's in your area. You could write about that. That might be of interest to your list. Like, you can write about things like, there's a festival in town, and, there's all this food there. What's the best food? How did you experience the food? What did you do? What did you feed your kids when you took them to this fair? Like, just the kind of things that, because it's local, it's something they can relate to. Every time a new food comes into the health food store, you can write about it. It's a lot easier to come up with lots of stuff about your location that would build a community within your location for an offline business. uh, you got lots of room for ideas. Whereas when you are writing for an online program, it has a specific group of people it's targeting, which you may not be doing with an offline. You're going to have a lot of trial and error, but let me tell you, it really is worth it, because once you feel comfortable with what you're doing, it's going to make a big difference with your business.